In this video, I'm going to show you how I made these blueberry and cherry pie cookies. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. Here are the things that I used: a 2.5-inch round scallop cookie cutter, red, royal blue, and ivory food coloring by Wilton, and some white sanding sugar. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright guys, so to get started with these cherry and blueberry pies, I'm going to start off with the red, and we're just going to fill in the center here first. We're going to let that crust, and then we're going to do little dots to represent the cherries and the blueberries. I do recommend starting here in the center, because if you start off with the crust, since you have a lot of free space here, you may tend to put your icing in too close to the center, and you'll have a thick crust and then not too much pie, and you want to have the color in there on that cookie and not so much of that tan. So that's why I recommend filling in the center first. So what you're gonna do is just fill in the center, and I have my red here in a tip 2. So just go ahead and make your nice little circle and smooth your icing out. Alright, so go ahead and push your icing nicely close to the edge. That way you have just a little bit for the crust. Now just give this some time to dry, hour and a half or 2. It's not very much, so it shouldn't take too long. But you want to make sure that it's nice and dry, so when you go in with your tan color, it doesn't want to absorb this darker red, this rich color. So go ahead and set this aside. Now if you've seen my other video, I did do this pie here, which has the little slice. So I decided to do it with this cherry and the blueberry as well. I'm going to see how I'm going to get that crisscross design on top of this. So I'm going to try that out, but I just thought I'd do this one as well in case you wanted to incorporate and mix and match and such. So I'm going to go ahead and do the blue one now, which is pretty much the same, but it's blue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so after you smooth that out, I'm going to go ahead and let them dry. Give them, like I said, about an hour and a half or 2, just so they can crust really nicely and dry, so that way you can do the edges. And of course, I did the pie with the little slice. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside as well to dry, and then we can come back and finish up the cookie. Alright guys, so I gave this plenty of time to dry. Now I have here my tan in a somewhat medium consistency in a tip 2. This way I can control my icing since I have it so close to the edge. I want to make sure that it doesn't overflow. Now if you don't have ivory food coloring, you can also use brown. Just use very little of it because you want to keep it in that tan color. So you can use brown if you don't have ivory. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze and go around the edge of the cookie, and as I get to the scallop parts, I'm just going to squeeze a little bit more to fill in that space. So just squeeze a little bit more, squeeze a little bit more, so forth all around the cookie, and then I'm going to go back and then just smooth everything else and fill in any gaps. So go ahead and smooth it out. So go ahead and give this some time to dry. I'm just going to finish up the rest and give them some time to dry. But what I can do is go in with my center and finish up the little cherries and blueberries. So I'm going to go ahead and get my icing ready and go ahead and finish the center part, and then give the whole thing about an hour and a half to dry before I move on to my last detail, and that'll be it. Alright, so I decided to do the lines instead of the berries first for a couple reasons. One, I thought it was just easier to just do the lines and then the berries so they can both dry at the same time, save a little time. And 2, I didn't want to do the berries and have to wait and then do the lines on top. I thought that was going to not only take a little bit more time, but make the cookie a little bit bulky. Even though cherry and blueberry pies tend to be a little bit more bulky because of all that fruit that's inside, but I didn't want my cookie to be that bulky. So doing it this way I think will be a lot easier and better. So what I have here is a Wilton Tip 44. You can probably get these online, eBay. They're not that easy to find at the stores. Or you can use another one that has a little ribbed side on one and the flat side on the other, which is like a basket weave. Those are easier to find, but I'm not sure which number that would be. If I find out which number, I'll link it down below in the description box, and that way you don't have to look for this one here. Those are a little bit more easier to find at like craft stores. So I have my icing in a medium consistency, which is the best way to go for this. I'm going to drag my lines, and then I'm going to sprinkle it with some sanding sugar. Now this is optional, but it gives it a more realistic pie look to it, I believe. As you see here, I'm done with this one, and if I have time, I'll show you really quick how I did this one here. Since it's not together, I did do it in two separate parts, so I'll try to squeeze it in. I don't like to make my video too long, so what I'm gonna do here is just drag my line first in the center, and then do lines on the sides, and then whatever fits here on the edges. And then really quickly, I'm just going to turn this and do the same thing. Start in the middle and cross it. Do another one. You see there's not going to be a lot of space in between for those berries. But you can still see them. They're going to look really neat. Alright, that's it. I squashed my icing at the end. So now I'm going to just clean this off before I put my sanding sugar on it. I don't want it to stick too much. Grab my sanding sugar, again optional, just sprinkle a little bit over it like that. Some of it will get stuck into that red and blue, so just use a little brush to brush it off. Just tilt it over carefully, and if you get some of that stuck there, just push it to the side so it can attach to that wet icing. It's a little bit hard to squeeze through these little spaces. But you do want to clear that off because you have to add your little dots in there. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to move on to this one here because I do not want to add any wet icing to this, or it'll attach and it's going to be a big mess. So I'm going to move on to this one that's had a few minutes to dry. Alright, so I have here my blue in a tip 1, or if you have a tip 0, that's fine as well. I already started there, and what I'm going to do is just add a little dot. And what I suggest to do is add one little dot in each square unless you have enough space for two. But don't join them together right away, or add a second one next to it right away. Just give it like a minute or so for that one to crust first, or else it'll attach and you'll be getting like an 8. I tried it on some other cookies and they were attaching, so I decided to just add one little dot in each cavity unless there's enough room for like 3 or 4 of them, and then wait for like a minute, do the rest of them, and come back to this one, and then you can go ahead and add the other one next to it, and then let that crust if you're able to add another 1 or 2 in there. So these have had a little bit of time in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fill the little space just like that. Really easy. So that's what you're gonna do to all of it until your entire pie has no more room for more, and then it'll look like this. So I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze how to do this one really quickly. It's basically the same thing. I probably won't, I'll just skip the little berries, but I'll just show you how to do the lines really quickly. Alright guys, so the best way that I found to do this is to start here in the slice that's cut, and then just drag this across like this, and then just do the same pattern. So let's try that. Start here, and then you're going to taper it down at the bottom here, then go across this one here, and then you're going to do the other lines. And you're going to cross this here, then in the middle. And you're going to do one in the middle here. Bring those peaks down. So pretty simple. Again, sprinkle it with your sanding sugar. Again, optional. And that's pretty much it. Just add your little berries in there, and that's all. Really simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest, let them dry, put them all together, and that'll be all. Alright guys, so there you have it. Blueberry and cherry pie cookies. Super easy to make and great for the fall season. Couldn't wait to do these. I wanted to try them, had never tried them, and I found that they're really simple to make. So these will be great for November and December holiday season. Make these for your grandma, your mom, teachers, your neighbors, your friends. I think they will think that you worked really hard on them, and they're going to be super amazed on how this little cookie looks so realistic. Don't skimp on those berries. Pile them on there. Each cavity can hold quite a bit of them, as you see. Make quite a bit of a cluster on there. Just make sure that you are adding a few berries at a time. Don't add them too soon. Give them some time to crust before you add some more, or they're going to attached to each other. You want to give them an individual bubble look to them, so that makes it a little bit more of a realistic berry look to it. Alright guys, I think that is enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Stay tuned for more, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching guys, and have a good one.